Hello everyone and welcome back. I am Lucy. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to this channel. If you have not subscribed, please do so that you will get a notification each time I upload a new video. 15 years after Kenya won independence from Britain in 1963, Mr. Moi became the president of Kenya. Daniel Arap Moi was a former school teacher and national legislator. He had been a hand-picked vice president and served in Mr. Kenyatta's long shadow. Unlike Mr. Kenyatta, who ruled behind closed doors, Mr. Moi traveled the country courting its ethnic and tribal groups and gained wide popularity. When he became president, he pledged to do away with endemic corruption and elevate Kenya's struggling tourism and agriculture economy. During the Cold War, Mr. Moi won Western support because of his anti-communist policies. President Daniel Arap Moi ruled Kenya for 24 years and became Kenya's longest-serving president. Today's video is about some of the failures of Daniel Arap Moi as Kenya's president. As the head of state and government, President Moi exercised absolute power. The post-independence constitution vested legislative authority in a National Assembly and provided for an independent judiciary. But Mr. Moi had the right to dismiss judges and other officials, and he and his party controlled legislation and the courts, overriding decisions and suppressing democratic reforms. Opposition led by intellectuals arose, but Mr. Moi, who also controlled the news media and the police and military service, and whose pronouncements had the force of law, closed universities and suppressed his opponents with detentions, torture, and killings. It has been alleged that during President Moi's regime, the government set up torture chambers in the basement of Nyayo House, a government building in central Nairobi that now houses the Immigration Department. It is believed that this is where activists, students, and academics were held without charge in the underground cells, some of them filled with water. Prisoners said they were sometimes denied food and water. In 1999, the findings of non-governmental organizations like Amnesty International and a special investigation by the United Nations were published, which indicated that human rights abuses were prevalent in Kenya. President Moi never addressed the rampant human rights abuses under his rule and also refused to engage with the nation's Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission that was established in 2008. After President Moi stepped down, investigations found that his government had lined the pockets of his family and its allies with as much as $4 billion. The biggest fraud in Kenya's history, the Goldenberg affair, in which the Central Bank of Kenya paid incentives to a company for exporting gold, diamonds, and jewelry that did not exist, cost the Kenyan taxpayers billions and sent Kenya's economy into a tailspin in the early 1990s. President Moi was never prosecuted, even though corruption inquiries implicated him and his family. Poverty deepened and corruption flourished during President Moi's regime. The Anglo-leasing scandal began in the 1990s and became a major scandal. State contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars were awarded to non-existent firms. Kenya's economy nosedived in the late 1990s as tea and coffee prices dropped. As if that was not enough, donors froze lending to Kenya, citing concerns about corruption. President Daniel Arap Moi called Kenya a single-party democracy, but little democracy was seen during his 24-year rule. The Kenyan churches condemned President Moi's regime and used transnational religious networks to let the world know what was happening in Kenya. In the end, the international donors suspended $350 million in aid to Kenya. President Moi became desperate for funding and complied with the donors' demands for multi-party elections. The 1992 general election created an opportunity to oust Moi, but he retained power by developing an effective counter-strategy. This strategy had two elements. First, Moi divided the opposition movement by intentionally igniting long-standing ethnic tensions. Second, Moi generated the appearance of a free election while still controlling the outcome. He did this by limiting his fraudulent and obstructionist actions to the pre-election period and kept the voting process relatively clean on election day. This enabled Moi to persuade the international community that the election was fair enough to repeal the sanctions. After ruling Kenya for 24 years, President Daniel Arap Moi was constitutionally barred from running in the 2002 presidential elections. Some of his supporters floated the idea of amending the constitution to allow him to run for a third term, but President Moi preferred to retire, and he chose Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of Kenya's first president, as his successor. Thank you so much for watching this video, which has been about the failures of President Daniel Arap Moi, Kenya's second president, who ruled Kenya for 24 years and is Kenya's longest serving president. In my next video, we are going to look at the positive things that President Daniel Arap Moi did for Kenya. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.